The WNBA continues to get the kind of attention they shouldn't want. All right, again, Colin Cowherd is making a point to talk about the WNBA again. He does it now multiple times a week, but only when it comes to one player, or in this case, one player and what it is the rest of the league is doing to her.
Apparently, trading Caitlin Clark is now a real conversation, and just when Indiana stopped hyperventilating. Here comes Colin Cowherd tossing gasoline on the rumor fire like it's his full-time job. The man's got opinions. And this one might just spark a basketball civil war. Is he being dramatic? Absolutely. But is he wrong? Well, that's where things get spicy.
Caitlin Clark finished 9th in player voting. In fact, she finished behind one of her own teammates in player voting. The pettiness has no bounds. For years, the WNBA players were pointing fingers. They were saying people are sexist, we're not being promoted, we're underappreciated. And then they get the golden goose and they don't like what it looks like. When the wave hits, ride it. They wanted to fly private. They wanted to be more popular. They wanted sold out arenas. They got it. I wouldn't have guessed that Caitlin Clark would be this.
So here we are again, watching the WNBA invent new ways to self-sabotage like it's a competitive sport. Forget loading the rosters or growing the fan base. They've apparently moved on to organized plot twists. And this time, the genius idea floating around, ship Caitlin Clark off like she's a tradable Pokemon card and call. It's strategy. If that wouldn't set the entire league on fire. And, not just Indiana, the whole operation would go up in a glorious blaze of mismanagement and chaos.
This is clearly them cutting her down, because when you look at fan voting, obviously Clark is one, right? Because she has the most fans in the league. So that clearly biased. You go to the media voting.
She was 3. That actually makes sense. I agree. She's not having the best of years this year. She's actually, her shooting is down.
Exactly.
There's been a number of situations that she's just not played her best ball. But she is still much, eons better than a lot of the other players that they voted in front of her.
Let's start with the obvious. If you trade Caitlin Clark, you don't just ruin the fever, you crater the league's one guaranteed. Cash cow. This isn't about losing a player, it's about losing the storyline. Clark isn't just dribbling a ball. She's dragging an entire franchise and, let's be honest, half the WNBA into relevance with her bare hands. Every ticket sold, every jersey printed, every headline scribbled, it's got her fingerprints all over it.
A university professor in finance looked up the value of Caitlin Clark for the WNBA. This is insane. So this year, last season in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark was 26.5% of all economic activity as a rookie on the worst team in the league when she entered it. So now she has an 8-year, $128 million deal with Nike. So, she's going to eat. Merchandise in the league went up off a rookie from a Midwest-based school on the worst team in the league, 234.
Now imagine snatching all that momentum and mailing it out in a FedEx box. It's the kind of move that makes people throw their remotes, cancel season passes, and start watching pickleball out of spite, because there's dumb. And then there's historically stupid. And this would be the latter with extra sprinkles.
I'm not going to ignore, nor am I going to take my eyes off of what transpires with the WNBA over the next 2 weeks while Caitlin Clark is out with the quad strain. And the reason why is because, let me tell you something right now. I'm not going to go to word hate. I'm not going to be out there like RG3 was saying that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark or other players hate Caitlin Clark. But I will say this. I don't think it's specific about Caitlin Clark. I think it's what Caitlin Clark represents. See, it's through no fault of Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark ball. She balled at Iowa in college. She's balled since she's been in the NBA. She came into the league last year with no break whatsoever between the college game and the pro game and did her thing.
But wait, it gets better. Not only are we entertaining trade rumors like the league has a surplus of stars to gamble with, but we've also got the coaching equivalent of a plot twist ripped from a soap opera. The same coach, who once sat back while Clark got poked in the eye like it was part of the halftime show, is now conveniently hired to be her boss. What's next? Bring in the trainer, who iced her ankles and put them in charge of conditioning. It's not even subtle. This isn't a coaching match. It's a setup, a coordinated performance dressed up in lanyards and clipboards, and the message is loud and clear. Silence the star, dim the spotlight, and pretend. It's for the team, but we see you, we all see it. Clark didn't just get benched, she got politically sidelined. And the front office didn't just pick a coach, they picked the coach. The one with a suspiciously familiar resume of selective justice and passive-aggressive bench rotations. Now, let's be real, Clark doesn't fit with his coach. And that's putting it gently. Their basketball chemistry is like oil and a dumpster fire. The system isn't built around her, it's actively rejecting her. This isn't a clash of styles, it's a cold war in sneakers, and the fallout is visible every time she's yanked from the game, while a random benchwarmer logs minutes like it's charity work.
Caitlin Clark had another, whatever you want to call it, confrontation in a WNBA game. Like, why is this happening? The Caitlin Clark phenomenon is one that I got wrong. I never really thought that Caitlin Clark would make the difference that she has in college basketball or in the WNBA. What other sports analogies are out there that are in any way similar to the impact that one individual has had on a larger sporting universe? Tiger was.
And why would a league that's finally got eyeballs glued to the screen start pulling the stunt? Simple. Control the narrative, control the star. Keep the fans just entertained enough, but not too empowered. The last thing they want is a player with actual leverage. That's dangerous. That's disruptive. That's unbenchable. So what do you do when you can't stop the momentum? You hire someone who can. You put a polite smile on the hit job and call it player development. Except the only thing developing is a bad reputation and an angsty fan base with receipts. This coach didn't just get hired. She got positioned, and if the conspiracy vibes feel strong, it's because they're practically slapping you in the face. And don't let anyone gaslight you into thinking this is some normal rebuild timeline. And oh, this isn't just rookie growth. Clark's not in a growth spurt. She's in timeout, like a toddler who dared to color outside the lines. 'Cause make no mistake, this isn't about basketball. This is personal, strategic, and very, very political. And here's the kicker, everyone's acting like this coach is just playing it safe, like there's some grand plan. But safe would mean using the best scorer you've got, not duct taping her talent and hoping fans won't notice.
She doesn't always get the consistent great star whistle. I think they're still kind of figuring out how to officiate her. Right? Like I've said this for years when I covered Shaq and went to Shaq got fouled more than anybody I've ever seen. I mean, it was insane. People bounced off Shaq. Jokic complains constantly. Like, people are bouncing off me. She doesn't quite get as favorable a whistle as you think. So I think
neither does Steph too. That's the funny.
This isn't chess, it's sabotage with a whistle. The fans see it, the broadcasters see it, Twitter sees it. The popcorn guy in row 5 sees it. Meanwhile, the rest of the league? Oh, they'd love for Clark to get shipped off like a sacrificial lamb. Can you imagine the ticket surge if she landed somewhere that didn't treat her like a radioactive liability? Drop her into Vegas, and they'd build her a statue by Thursday. Send her to New York, and she'd headline Times Square before practice. But keep her in Indiana under this regime, and you might as well be storing fireworks in a freezer. Nothing's going to explode, and everyone's going to be disappointed. And yet there's still this idea floating around that it would somehow help the team to trade her. Help who? The lottery odds, the backup point guard's confidence, the merchandise team that's already 2 months behind on Clark jerseys. Because spoiler alert, without her, Indiana's not rebuilding, they're vanishing. Clark is the only reason national networks are dragging WNBA highlights out of the editing bay. She's why middle-aged dudes with no idea how the draft works are suddenly experts on pick and roll. Defense. You don't trade that, you protect it like it's the Ark of the Covenant.
So we all know who Caitlin Clark is. She's the golden goose, laying those golden eggs for the WNBA to prosper. Well, a lot of times we notice that the WNBA is resisting this golden goose and resisting this bump and this force of nature, which is Caitlin Clark. So we're going to dive deep into that. What's behind that? Is jealousy, envy, pettiness, all the above, more than that? We're going to have to go.